Welcome to LifeHerStyle, a podcast for Christian women who are ready to live boldly for Christ in every season of life. I'm your host, Kari, pastor's wife, ordained minister, toddler mama, and truth-speaking friend. Whether you're navigating motherhood, ministry, marriage, or your God-given mission, you'll find inspiration rooted in scripture and stories that point your heart back to Jesus. Tune in each week as we explore faith-filled living through the stories of ordinary women doing extraordinary things for Christ. Because her style of life, it's set apart. Let's do life her style. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the LifeHerStyle podcast. I have a new guest with me today, and it is something I've been really looking forward to because she is with an organization that has really captured my heart, and you're going to get to hear about that here in just a second. But we have Trina Clark with us. She is the executive director of an organization in St. Joseph, Missouri called Sisters of Solace. And Trina, before we get started on what Sisters of Solace is and what they do, I wanted to hear your personal testimony. So when did you say yes to Jesus, and how has your walk with him evolved over the years?
So I can say that God has chased me my whole life. My parents were not religious. They were believers, but they really didn't have any connection with the church and were really worldly. So I don't know how I knew about God other than God was just pursuing me. So I was probably 4 with the first time I went into a church. Yes,
We
ma'am.
have another guest in the studio today.
She can resonate with the story. So we went into a church for, I don't know, some kind of production. It was a play that the kids were doing. And I remember looking around and my mom asked me, "What are you doing?" And I was looking for God. And I said, "Well, I'm waiting to see God. I'm trying to find God in here." And she told me, "Well, you're not going to see God in here." And I was crushed. I was just so upset that I wasn't going to get to see God that day. And how that came about, I really don't know. But God just kept pursuing me, kept bringing people into my life that would bring me into church. And so I was probably about 8, had a youth pastor that lived a couple doors down from us, and they had a child with cerebral palsy. And they were just the most gracious people. I just really enjoyed being around them. I loved how they were just incorporating their child into everything, how they trusted God with all the decisions that they were making. And so they started taking me to church. And that is probably when I first fell in love with God, where I really just, wanted to be close to him and have a life with him. And God has continued to pursue me the whole time. I was baptized when I was 12 in a Baptist church. Really, and all of these times I'm seeking out the church by myself. My family never did really go. And then when I was 15, I converted to Catholicism and was a Catholic for a long period of time. I will say God kept us really safe in the church at that point. And then I really became convinced that my husband was supposed to be the spiritual leader in our home, and he was not Catholic and had some really significant theological disagreements with it. So one day, the Lord really just laid it on my heart to let him be the spiritual leader. So I went to him and said, "Okay, I'm going to follow you wherever you go, but you're going to have to pick the church." And he was a little bit terrified and appalled that's where we were going. We were very entrenched at that point in the Catholic Church. Our kids went to a Catholic school. All of our friends were in the Catholic Church. And so it was a really big change, but I knew that God was really leading it. And that was what was going to be best for our family. So we ended up going to a wonderful Calvary Chapel at the time, teaching verse by verse through the Bible. And God has just continued to grow my faith in every step that I've taken. And I can see that no matter what's happening, it's always God directing the path, opening the next door, getting us ready for the next thing that's coming. So I just trust in that even through the times that are difficult or more trying, and just rely on, a lifelong history with God that he's taken me through. So
I think what's really cool about your story and about your testimony, because as a parent, and trying to raise a child to know and love the Lord, sometimes I get so concerned about what her choice might be down the road.
Yes.
And I remember one day, being in prayer and just being really concerned about if I was doing the right things
Mm-hmm.
or, leading her in the right way. And it was like God spoke to my heart and he was like, she's mine. Like, you're acting like she's yours, but she's mine. And
Mm-hmm.
so, be faithful and trust her to me.
Mm-hmm.
And God proved faithful in your story because you didn't have somebody that was discipling you from a young child.
Right.
It was just God took care of you. God carried you, to where you are now.
And so then I would have to say, why is it that sometimes I look back at my parenting with my children and think, oh, I just didn't do enough. I didn't say enough. We didn't read the Bible enough. We didn't go to church enough, all of those things. So thank you, because that's also confirming and comforting for me as a mama.
Yeah, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to do God's work.
Mm-hmm.
And God's like, just be faithful and let me do the work. And, that's a testament, to how God worked in your own life to bring you to where you are now, to have even had the wherewithal to pour into your own children, if at all,
Right.
like they did get some
Oh,
spiritual guidance.
They definitely got a lot of spiritual guidance. They were very sure of where we stood and, knew about Jesus. And, we were actively in church. I'm just saying, no matter what, you're always going to look back and say, yes. And we do. We do fall short. So what you're saying is so completely true, that we can rely on the Lord for all those things.
Yeah.
My problem is, where does my role stop and God's role end? Or where does my role end and God's role stop? Yeah. Where is my responsibility versus God's?
Yeah. I think it's something that we just carry because our culture right now would say you are enough. What you're doing is enough. All that you are is enough. How God made you is enough. And at the end of the day, it's like, no, that's not right.
That's not true at all.
Yes.
It is right.
You think.
But I'm about to fall asleep.
Oh, well, that's okay.
Good. Glad our conversation's keeping us awake.
Yeah, it's titillating. But I think that is the point of faith, is the fact that we are not enough, but God is enough.
Right.
And so when we're trusting him with the parenting that we're doing, when we're trusting him with the work that we're doing, with the ministry that we're doing, he fills the gaps. It's not that we are having to carry this all on our own. It's just that he's using us as a tool for his glory.
Yes.
And as long as we're showing up and saying, God, how can you use me in this? Then we're doing the right thing. So no, we're not enough. We're going to fall short. We're going to come to the end of ourselves, but praise the Lord, he doesn't come to the end of anything. Like, he keeps going.
Yes.
And I just love that part of your testimony, because it shows us that, as parents, if we can show up and be faithful to what God has called us to do, he's going to show up and be faithful to what he does.
Yes.
And that's the best job. So we got a little snippet of your testimony. Tell us a little bit about yourself outside of that. What does your day-to-day look like? What's your family life like?
So I am married to the love of my life, Butch Clark. He's my best friend, and we just have the best life together. It's just really an amazing thing to think about, that God has blessed us so much. I never expected this in marriage. I don't know what I really expected. When you're young and you're dreaming about this, I didn't expect this depth of love and just how much fun it was going to be, and how just everything can come together. As husband and wife, you can do everything together. So we've worked together. We just, we've parented together, obviously, and it's just been the best part of life. Yeah. So I am really blessed to have had this kind of a life with him.
Yeah. How many years have you been married at this point?
32.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you all have adult children now.
We do. Yes.
How many kids do you have?
We have 2, a grown daughter, Madison, and our son, Tyler. And then we have our sweet in-law kids, which I count as my own. We have Kellen and Kylie. And so... And Kay, yes.
She'd like to be counted in that.
That's fine. You can be counted as a Clark. That's good. So it's really great. We have 2 grandkids, and everybody lives close by, which is really wonderful for us because at any point in time, we're close enough that we can run to each other's houses to borrow something, or if somebody needs help, we can do that. We have Sunday dinner together every single week and really protect that time. And it's just so nice to have this solid relationship with our adult kids, and so, so, so precious to have our relationship with our grandkids and be close. And we talk usually FaceTime at least once a day, even though we're literally 3 miles apart. We have to have that contact every day, and I love it.
That's amazing. I think every adult parent out there is like, I want that.
Yes.
I want that connection.
Mhm.
And I feel like you have the capacity to cultivate that. And I think that you've taken the right attitude when you say, like, the in-law kids are your kids too.
Absolutely.
And if you can treat your in-law children with the same love that you have for your own kids, like, a beautiful relationship can be forged through the whole family, because you're showing your own children, I respect you enough to love your spouse and to, serve both you and your spouse. And so I think the fruit of, those choices that you made is this big, beautiful thing that you have now, where you can be close, where you can have Sunday dinners and, be able to FaceTime every day. So another just throw out there for, parents with adult children, love your children's spouse.
Yes,
It's
do
hugely important.
love your children's spouse. Give them the same love and attention, and also respect boundaries.
Yeah.
Remember that they are adult children. And so I try to be really careful about just butting into things. If my kids are telling me something, it's, do you want advice or do you want sympathy? And if you want sympathy, then I'm going to just sit here and keep my mouth closed and love on you. But, just not overextending yourself into, their territory.
Yeah.
I think they know that they have that respect from us, and that we're not going to overstep those bounds, and that also we're here if they need anything. And I'm talking about my in-law kids. We're here for them, and we really do work hard on cultivating those relationships with them, making sure that we're communicating with them, that we do things outside of just our normal family things. It's really nice to be able to have a conversation with them and hear what's going on in their day. It warms my heart to know how things going at work, and really have that actual relationship with them. Or when things are rough, to be able to talk through things and give wisdom, or just sympathy. Either way.
I've already seen, because I saw your daughter's post, because y'all went on a trip together.
We did.
And she was like, the number one thing to bring on a vacation is the grandparents.
Yes.
And I'm like, that is a smart move. Smart move. You have built-in child care, extra hands when you need them. And so that it's a testament to the relationship that you have with them, that they're like, hey, come on vacation with us. Let's go together.
And we love it.
Yes. Yeah. That's so awesome. Okay. So you are the executive director of Sisters of Solace. What is Sisters of Solace? And how did it begin?
Yeah, so Sisters of Solace is a 2-year residential healing program. We serve women who are survivors of trauma, human trafficking, and addiction. So the ladies come to us, and we do call them sisters, because we want them to come into a family, and a lot of times that's the first time they've had stability in their lives, and someone that loves them unconditionally without any expectation other than their well-being and their growth. So they come to us usually experiencing homelessness. Honestly, their lives are usually just pretty devastated. They've lost everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. They don't have tangible things. They don't have family. They've lost their children. They've lost their sense of identity and their dignity. And we begin the process of walking them through that recovery. We say lavish love heals, because really love is the greatest healing power in the world. And we know that coming to someone right where they are with no expectation, knowing that there's such a history for them, that there's a why behind their story and how they got there, and having such compassion for what that looked like, and then helping them to develop the skills, reduce barriers, be educated, so that they can go on and live a normal life. That's what we do here. Our team is just incredible. Hands-on women that absolutely love our sisters, and they really sacrifice quite a lot to serve them. And that means, if somebody's in crisis at midnight, well, the team's going to be there. If whatever, it's not always convenient when things happen for somebody that's recovering and struggling with mental illness and, substance use disorder. So it's just really, it's really a privilege to work with the women. And a lot of our team are survivor leaders. So meaning they've been there, done that. They've gone through this. So the ladies come and live with us free of charge for the entire 2 years, and sometimes a little longer. If they're trying to meet goals and they need a little more time, we're absolutely going to give them that. They live in a really great, cool house. We call ourselves Sisters of Solace. We are not Catholic, but they do live in an old convent, and we do call them sisters. So it's kind of funny. It's just a beautiful place where the ladies can come and heal. And so everything's provided, and we do classes Monday through Thursday. So we're really working on everything from, psychoeducational things like how to handle stress, CBT techniques to deal with anxiety. We're providing trauma therapy so that they can work through their terrible traumas that they've had in their life. Also, life skills, how to budget, how to have a normal rhythm and flow to your life. If you've never had that, and I will tell you that most of the ladies come to our program have started being abused mentally, physically, sexually between the ages of 4 and 13. They've never had stability and normality in their lives at all. They don't know what a normal rhythm and flow. And then when you're living on the streets, it's about survival. And they are excellent at that. But they need to learn how to, really focus on a normal life to have the things that they want. And so education is just key to that. A lot of times they'll come to us without having a high school diploma. So we make sure that that is a priority for them. And we really try to give them the time and space to do that. So that means we really don't want them working. That's one of the reasons why we don't charge for it. We don't want them working in the beginning. We do have a career readiness center, which you are very familiar with, our beloved Solace Market and Coffee Shop. And this place is really designed to help them get those career skills that they're going to need to be successful. Things like work ethic. We really try to teach world-class customer service. We want them to know how to communicate, how to handle difficult conversations, business etiquette, how to send an email. So we really want them to have the opportunity to really develop those skills before they go out into the work world, because number one, we love them. And it's when we say we love them, it means we are going to be right there telling them the truth about things, helping them to really grow. Sometimes those are hard conversations, but we want to be the ones that say that, as opposed to them going to an employer who may not be as understanding, and also just to give them the time, to learn those things. So it's really great. This place is a place of hospitality and healing. That's what we want it to be. And the ladies come in here and they have a candle factory. As a matter of fact, they actually have, these businesses are really designed for them to become entrepreneurs. So they get to come in and they think of their ideas. So they do research and development, figuring out what products they want to make. And then they have to formulate those products. They have to do test batches. They have to figure out how to source their products or how to source the raw materials, because a lot of things are made by slave trade. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. Even things like coconut oil or our coffee beans, we have to be really intentional that we're not causing someone else to be in slavery.
Right.
So they do all of this, and then they have to package it, they label it, they merchandise it. And where else could you go to get such an experience like that, to be able to do that? And then in the coffee shop, I had no idea that being a barista was such a scientific, it's really part science and part art form. And I love it. And it's a lot more involved than I thought. And so it's a really great skill for them to learn so many things. And, my office has a coffee shop.
Right.
How amazing is that?
Well, that's like the best part. I became acquainted with Sisters of Solace because of the market and coffee shops. My husband had seen one day on, I think it was an article with the paper, and he said, "Hey, they're opening up a new coffee shop on Frederick." And we're like, I would say we're coffee connoisseurs, but like we're not as serious as we could be probably about coffee, but I was like, well, we need to go try that, because especially locally, stuff like that doesn't pop up, that often. And so I think it took all but a week, and we showed up here, and I ordered my typical, like, first time to try it mocha.
Oh,
And I was hooked. I was like,
that's so
this
good to
is
hear.
amazing. And at that point, I still didn't understand what Sisters of Solace was.
Mhm.
And it was through the coffee shop and the market
Mhm.
that I learned what it was all about, and I learned the care behind it and the mission behind it. And then it was like I was sucked in
Mm.
to that life and that atmosphere. And I feel like it came at a moment in my ministry where I needed that. And we talk about ministry to these women, that are coming out of terrible life situations.
Mhm.
And I walk in here, like, wanting to pour in. And honestly, being here, everyone here poured into me.
Mm.
And so it's just this lovely family that you've developed, here, in both in this coffee shop and market, but then also in the program itself. And even one of the girls today, because I'm making my own coffee here now, like, that is how acquainted I've gotten with this place.
She's part of the team.
And one of the girls was like, you too, yeah. She's the junior barista.
Yes.
One of the girls was like, I have this family now, and
Mhm.
it's just a lovely thing that is happening here. And I continue to just be thankful for Sisters of Solace, specifically in this community, because if anybody locally knows kind of the things that are going on in the landscape of St. Joseph, they'll know that organizations like this are so needed and so necessary for healing in the community.
Absolutely.
And so that would be my next question, is how do you feel like Sisters of Solace has benefited St. Joseph, this local area?
Mm. So, a lot of people don't realize that Missouri ranks number 4 in human trafficking cases. That is heartbreaking. And sometimes that is because, we have a corridor that runs through right through our city where people are being trafficked, but also it's just an insidious problem within our city. So we have a really big issue with addiction, drug use. And with that comes all kinds of illegal activity, including people who will prey on others who are just really looking for their basic needs to be met. So food, shelter. So a lot of times what happens with our sisters, they start having the abuse very young. They end up on the streets because it's safer to be on the streets than it is to be in their own home, which is incredibly sad. A lot of times they're developing mental illness, and that's really a direct result of that childhood trauma. Once they're out on the streets, there's a couple of ways they become preyed upon and addicted. Ultimately, someone may just give them drugs because it's the thing that can help them get through the day when you're living on the streets in the cold or the heat and you have no food and the stress of that. Or more likely, it's someone is giving them drugs to make them be more compliant. They're grooming them, and then they get them involved into the lifestyle. And once they're addicted, a lot of the side effects and the physiological things that happen with withdrawal are horrible. They are incredibly sick. Sometimes it can be deadly depending on the drug that they're giving them. So it's really this whole trauma cycle that happens. And then, oftentimes they'll end up pregnant. If they have the baby, frequently the babies are taken away from them, which is just such a compounding grief for these women who have really nothing, and then to have this precious gift. So then what happens? The baby then is going through that same trauma cycle, and it's over and over and over again. Something has to be done to disrupt this, to address the issues. And what we have taken on is really coming alongside the women to work one-on-one, meet every need that they have, work through the barriers. And I can tell you that right now, this is so exciting. 100% of our graduates are still clean and sober, reunited with their children, living in their own homes. And, it's incredible to see them reach back for the next woman all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They serve this community so well. And it's not just, the women that we are serving. It's the fact that they're reunited with their families, reunited with their children, and now they have the opportunity to redirect that life, help them when they start having children to not repeat this trauma pattern. They've got the skills that they need to break those generational bonds that are happening. And so we're seeing not just, one woman's life change, we're seeing generations change. And we have some really exciting things coming up. And we've seen that there's a lot of women in this situation that are on the streets of our city who are pregnant and needing resources. And, oftentimes they come to us now where, they've lost 3 or 4 children. What if we could provide these same supports, wrap everything and wrap them in this love and all of this intention when they have baby number 1? I mean, it'd be wonderful if we could do it before they have their first baby. But if we could do that when they have baby number 1, and we could stop this insidious cycle, and we could really make an impact, how much difference would it make in our community? It'd be dramatic. So we are opening a maternity home, and just for these ladies. And right now they can't come to our program with their children. And I will say most often they do not have custody of their kiddos. Sure. So we are working with local providers, women's health providers. We are working with Division of Family Services, also providers that help with mental health, substance use. We're just really trying to come together as a community to make this impact. And we're very excited that we are fundraising and getting ready to open the maternity home. We have been gifted a house, which is beautiful. It's going to be just an amazing place for these moms to come and grow and recover in this healing environment.
Yeah, that's I'm so excited about that aspect that you have on the horizon and what it could do, because it really is a ripple effect. When you help this woman, you're helping generations past and generations to come. And especially with the maternity home, I'm so excited about that, and I know that's going to be a great benefit to the community. Yes. How many women have graduated the program so far?
So we have had 11 women graduate the program. But I will tell you that regardless of whether they've graduated the program or they've just attended for a period of time, it's amazing to see how even 6 months in the program can make a difference.
Yeah.
So one of the beautiful things about this is, people do see what's happening. So a lot of times we will have women that will reach out that just need a little help. They may not come into the program, but we're able to connect them with services. Sometimes it's just a meal or a ride or, a safe place to stay for a night. So we are able to make those connections in their most vulnerable moments, which is really helpful. And, our goal is just to love them through that day so that when they're ready, they'll know where to go. There's a lot of women that have come through. We've impacted hundreds of lives, even if they haven't been in the program. So 11 graduates may not sound like much, but let me tell you, the impact is citywide in that. Right now, we currently have 9 women in our house. We are completely full, and we do have a sister that is currently living in the maternity home with her little girl. And that was quite a story of rescue and redemption. So we have 10 women and 1 little lady that we have, one little sister.
Thanks so much for tuning in to LifeHerStyle. If today's episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Want to keep the conversation going? Come hang out with me on Instagram at LifeHerStyle. I'd love to connect with you there. And for deeper devotionals, resources, and encouragement straight to your inbox, join the LifeHerStyle community on Substack at lifeherstyle.substack.com. Until next time, remember, your life, your walk, your style. Do it all for the glory of God.